Hello, welcome to another episode of Undercurrent. I'm Deanna Cooney, your host. This week in Perth, rehearsals began for The Events, a theatrical production starring Catherine McClements. Tony ETC reports on this captivating show that blends music and theatre in a controversial story.
Hello everybody, we are at the Black Swan State Theatre Company and we are looking into a play titled The Event, which was inspired by the massacre which took place in Norway in 2011. We have got esteemed actresses and actors, and we've got some fantastic and wonderful choir members. It's going to be a blast and I'm sure everybody's going to enjoy it.
We had our first season at the beginning of 2016 in the Sydney Festival, and we performed in a town hall in a western suburb of Sydney. So that's where it felt really in its place, because that's kind of where the play is set. And then we performed in the Adelaide Festival, then in Sydney again, Belfast Street Theatre, and in Melbourne at the Malt House. And this is all in 2016. And now it's coming here to Perth. And after this, it'll do a regional tour of New South Wales and Victoria, go to towns like Geelong and Wollongong and Tamworth and Lismore. And that's what the play is designed to be. When the writers, who are from the UK, designed it, they had in mind that it would tour and go to any town in England, all of which have their own village choirs, and they'd meet up with them and have a short window of time to put it together. And so for us, now we must be at least 60 in 4-5 different states. But for all of us, that's what keeps it fresh. It's never the same 2 nights in a row.
It's about a woman who was running this choir as part of her church, and the choir were victims of a terrible mass shooting. And it's about her journey to understand who the perpetrator was, and her journey to try and really get rid of the hate in her heart about him, and in an attempt to understand him, for her to come to some sort of peace about what happened.
So something interesting happened during one of your performances. You can share with us about one of the victims of the incident in Norway?
Yes, who came and saw the show. I mean, this piece was created in a way with a Norwegian theatre company. When it was first performed, they performed it in front of the parents and close relatives of the victims of the Utøya. From that, we understood that it is actually a process of healing that this play can be part of.
What attracted you to this piece?
You know, the theatrical form of it I thought was really dynamic. The fact that a new choir every night comes on stage, and that they are a community choir, so they're not performers or actors. They are people who love singing together as a group, and how as a community we can bond together to sort of dispel the fear and anxiety about this phenomenon that's happening.
Kath and I work together a bit now, and she's an amazing actor to work with. Claire and I, the director, have worked together on multiple things, and fantastic. Yeah, we've kind of had a bit of a rotating crew around it since the beginning, because there's been multiple lives of this show. It's great, you know, and then you come in and there's a choir and you meet the choir an hour before you do the show and have a cup of tea and a chat, and then you just jump in. So it's kind of, it's rare to do a show like that there's these moments of interjected performance that you haven't really rehearsed with. So it keeps it fresh.
So have you got any expectation for the event?
There's an honesty and a rawness to this show that's kind of refreshing, I think. Having a community choir on stage, you know, 40 people behind actors, like you don't see that. There's something that, I don't know, it taps into something in us that kind of wants to belong, I think.
The Events is a play that was written by David Gregg, and he's a writer from Scotland. He was asked to write a play about the 2011 shootings on Atoya Island, the massacre that happened there. And what he ended up creating was this beautiful work that involves community choirs, and it's about how a community heals after a tragedy. It's very much about being a good human being. It's about our civic engagement. It's about how kind we are to one another. It's about how we respond as a community to those people who are disenfranchised, and how we can bring them in and care for them.
So we're really excited to be involved with the Black Swan Theatre Company, and the choir's really enjoying good music, and I think the idea of the choir being part of the performance is really unique.
We kind of see it as pretty integral to being a part of the art scene overall in Perth. We see choirs as integral to the fabric of the arts, and our responsibility is to tell stories from the margins that other people can't tell, and the events is a great way to be able to achieve that.
And thanks for watching Undercurrent. I am Tony ETC.
Perth animal rights activist group Anonymous for the Voiceless came together this week to form the Cube of Truth. Our reporter Laura has more.
Anonymous for the Voiceless is an animal rights organisation that specialises in street activism. Last Sunday, the group formed the Cube of Truth to bring awareness about veganism and animal cruelty. We caught up with Perth coordinator Jimmy to discuss the issue. Please note, some of the following images may be disturbing for some viewers.
Our message is to do with animal rights. We're trying to get people to think about the choices that they make in their diet and lifestyle to better be able to reflect their own values. So we educate people with the practices of the meat, dairy, egg and other animal industries. And we're just here to show the truth to people and get them to have a thought-provoking conversation with us and hopefully make some changes that better reflect their beliefs. We're not here to force anyone to do anything. What we want to do is make people reach their own conclusion that veganism is what best represents their own beliefs. We just want people to understand what really happens in these industries and come to their own conclusions.
So, Anonymous for the Voiceless, how many people are involved and how many times do you guys do silent demonstrations?
So we do the demonstrations every fortnight here along Murray Street Mall. We have roughly about 100 volunteers who are active. Not always 100 people will come down, but yeah, people sort of come and go as they please. But yeah, we do the demonstrations for about 4 hours. And over that time, we have a huge number of people stopping by and showing interest and having conversations with us. So this is a global movement. So it started in Melbourne and it's kind of progressed around the capital cities in Australia, but now it's all throughout Europe, America, Africa even, and they're starting to penetrate the Asian countries as well. So it's an incredibly fast-moving movement, and it's just amazing to see how quickly it's growing.
Now, it's called the Cube of Truth. Tell us a little bit about the Cube.
Okay, so people who are in the cube, they stand with the masks, so they don't speak to the members of the public. They stand in a cube formation, that's why it's called the Cube. And we're showing footage from Australian slaughterhouses and factory farms. This is all the most current and relative footage to what people would be consuming, so where their actual products come from. And yeah, we call it the truth because a lot of people have never been confronted with this. They don't know how these products are made or where they come from, and we're just here to educate them and give them some insight because a lot of people have never been confronted with this before. The Guy Fawkes masks are there as a twofold thing. Firstly, they're there just for the aesthetic look, so it gets people curious and interested, but also they represent fighting injustice. So it's a symbol. It's a symbol to challenge the status quo and to look at truth for yourself, to discover it for yourself.
Could there be a way that we could reduce the amount of animal injustice going on but still keep up with the Australian trade industry?
Just in my own personal experience though, I've talked to many farmers and they do say that they can transition to having an entirely plant-based business. So they could, if they wanted to, eliminate the animals and just have crops. But I do understand that's not everyone, and there would be some farmers who perhaps would have to get new skills or sell their farms or whatever it might be. But I think perspective is a really important thing, and we see the animals as the victims, not the people who are forcing them into the slaughterhouses. A lot of the volunteers here are part of a group called the Save Movement, and what we do is we do protests at abattoirs. So this again, it's a global movement, but there is one here in Perth. So we visit places, they slaughter pigs, they slaughter cows, they slaughter chickens, and we bear witness. It's called bearing witness, where we look at the animals face to face, we connect with them, and we document it. So we put it on social media to make people try to make that connection between the lump of meat in the supermarket and these actual living, breathing creatures. It just puts a whole new perspective on things. So yeah, it's a very empowering experience.
So if somebody was to take on board your message and they wanted to become a vegan, do they have to just cut out everything? Can you tell us a little bit about the process?
Yeah, well, everyone's at different stages. So some people have actually gone completely overnight. They've changed from even a heavy meat diet to totally vegan overnight. But other people, it's not so easy. They can go through a transition period. So we say that veganism should always be the end goal.
So if people want to jump on board and help you guys out, where can they seek some more contact?
Yeah, so we've got a Facebook group, it's called AV Perth. So if people want to get involved with Anonymous for the Voiceless, they can join up on there. Just search AV Perth and we can approve. And we do these every 2 weeks. So we really are encouraging people to firstly start cutting out the animal products out of their diet and lifestyle, but then also to get active and start educating others.
A confronting look into animals, environment and health. This has been Laura for Undercurrent.
The Pan Pacific Hotel here in Perth recently hosted the Australia-Asia Exchange Conference, and WTV reporter Bas Tadros was there to capture the event.
I'm here today at the Australian Asian Exchange Conference for 2018. It's here at Pan Pacific in East Perth, and what an amazing collective of different business owners and different industries coming from all over Asia, China, Malaysia, Singapore, coming here to Perth to talk about Perth's economy and opportunities that both Perth business people and people from overseas can invest in the Australian and in the WA economy. I'm here with Anthony Valletta, the Chief Executive Officer for Victoria Park. What do you think about events like this?
Oh, it's great. Look, I think more international exposure for the state of WA is great. Our particular council wants to start building a relationship with the Asian market, in particularly China and Japan and Singapore and so forth. So we're really keen to be part of this event. I think it's all fundamentally about relationships, particularly in the Asian market, and I think what I've seen today is a huge amount of networking and people actually talking to each other, grabbing their cards, and hopefully there's going to be some links from this that will help all of the organisations, so it's great from my perspective.
Good chance for a boost to the economy?
I would hope so, and we need it. We definitely need it. Just ask the Treasurer. So look, for us, yeah, it's going to be a great event, and I think we'll get some real benefit from it.
To do an event like this, which can take a few hundred people at one sitting, there's a lot of planning. First of all, you need to plan the whole thing right from the beginning, about a year ahead actually, and then you need to engage the different groups to get them in. Now, one of the key factors that attracts people to events like this is to get the right mix of people. So we need to get the right sponsors, the right key government people, and also the delegates who might be interested in certain areas. So we need to visit the luminaries in those areas to make sure that they are interested to come and present the topics that the audience will be interested in. For me, it is a personal dream that I can bring people from all over Asia to come to Perth, and also for Australians to go into Asia. And in the process, through these conferences, for them to be able to connect and have business collaborations through their businesses.
I'm here with Ignatius from Aussie Home Loans at Mount Lawley. Tell us a little bit about your business and what brings you to an Australian Asian conference.
Well, my business is about loans, about finance for people, and what better place to advertise Perth. And I love Perth. I've been living here for almost 10 years now, and we've got the opportunity to showcase that to Singaporeans, Malaysians and Chinese. So I'm here to help them bridge the gap between being there and being here and getting the finance for that.
And are you hoping to see a bit more boost to the economy as a result of events like today?
Well, yes, I think the government plays a part, and they have been playing a part with the recent budget, and we have to play our part, and our part is to talk it up, as long as it's honest, of course, and have events like this and participate in them and spread the word. So absolutely, I think the future is optimistic, particularly for Perth and Western Australia.
I'm here with Mr. Roy Yo. He's the organiser of the Australian Asian Exchange Conference here in Perth. Tell us a little bit about what it takes behind the scenes to organise such an amazing conference like you have today.
Yeah, actually, I couldn't imagine I can make it because it takes around 20 days to organize a one-day event. Thanks to all the team that supported the vision. I believe maybe because I at the right place at the right time, happens to have the idea. Maybe a lot of them had the idea, just that maybe I'm the one who say, okay, let's do it. So we are happy to have so many people that supported me.
What would you like to see in future events? You had over 250 people here today. What would you like to see in future events, both in the exhibition and in WA's economy?
I believe is that, yes, of course it's good to have it in WA. The best is let's make it happen in different cities of Asia, or at least beyond Asia. so that more people will come to know WA, at least visit the one, because statistics has shown that no investor will want to invest in anything if they have not visited the city. So minimum, come to see Perth, come to see WA for yourself.
I'm Bas Tadros for Undercurrent.
Don't go too far. We'll be back right after the break with more Perth stories here on Undercurrent.